Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor. Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor.
Here's something that we swept up from the cutting room floor today. What do you know about Taylor Momsen?
The name is vaguely familiar. Having said that, I thought it was a man. I'm getting my Taylors confused with people who've been in Twilight.
Yeah, I think
Taylor Lautner.
You're Taylor Lautner.
But I've Googled. Do you want me to tell you who Taylor Momsen is?
Well, I know a bit about it, but please.
Well, this is why she's so famous. She's an actor famous for her roles as Jenny Humphreys from Gossip Girl and Cindy Lou Who from The Grinch.
Yeah.
Sorry if both those things have passed me by.
She was also frontman to the band The Pretty Reckless.
Front woman. Front person.
Front.
Singer. Main singer.
Mate, lead singer. That's what they still call
From a
it.
band. And this is why she's in the news. She was supporting AC/DC in Seville in Spain on the weekend.
Interesting choice.
I thought AC/DC would have someone mega famous and maybe someone Spanish who'd be the opener in Spain.
Yeah, like Julio Iglesias.
Not even his son. You go Julio, you're going old
I'd go
school.
Julio, I'd go the original. That's what I'd get.
Is he Spanish?
Sounds Spanish.
That's enough. Well, this is what's happened while she's on stage singing in Seville, as I said, opening for AC/DC. She said, what a rock and roll moment. The crowd, she's singing a song called Witches Burn.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd start gesticulating towards her leg. She's looking down at her leg saying, what's going on? They keep pointing at her leg. She didn't notice that a bat had landed on her leg and then it sunk its teeth into her leg and bit her. So she's singing as she gets bitten on the leg by a bat while she's singing Witches Burn.
Wow. Maybe it was payback for Ozzy Osbourne all those years ago.
What actually happened? Because hasn't he walked back a bit on that story?
The history was that he bit the head off a bat on stage, but he actually thought it was a rubber bat that a fan threw up, so he just bit the head, but it was an actual bat.
Well, when you say the story was he bit a bat and he said, but it didn't actually happen. Yes, well, if it...
Well, it happened.
It happened.
It happened.
I'm going to Google as we talk because I thought he's now said that didn't happen. Let me see. You talk
now
amongst
you're going to ruin it
yourselves.
for everyone. This is the problem with Google. Now no one talks at all. And that's what happens.
Aussie bat.
Bat. Okay, so this is what, as I know it, originally he got a bat and bit the head off it on stage. So that's what it was. Then Ozzy Osbourne years later said someone threw a bat, what he thought was a rubber bat, up on stage. So he bit the head off it, thinking it was a rubber bat. Then he had to go to the hospital.
And he had to have a really severe series of rabies injections, didn't he?
Well, what did your Google search?
Well, it just came up, did he bite the head off a bat? And
Then
no
what
one's
does it
saying.
say?
Well, then it's linking to stories and TikToks and stuff, and I
Just
can't be
click-
bothered.
Yeah, and
Let's
that's
just
the
say
problem.
yes.
It's just all bullshit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so
that's our job.
as far as we know, he bit the head off a bat.
You know, and all those rabies shots. But let's face it, he's pretty much got formaldehyde coursing through his
It's true.
veins. Nothing's going to touch him. He and Keith Richards, nothing's going to touch
The
them.
poor old bat's suffered enough, hasn't it, really?
Well, so she said the bat was cute, but yes, he bit me. She said she's going to have to get rabies shots for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Have you ever done anything wild like that?
No, I did a whole story in Germany on rabies.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What is rabies?
Rabies is a disease that, they had to be very careful that once they opened the channel, that foxes from Europe with rabies wouldn't go through the tunnel and bring rabies into England.
Yeah, because we don't have it here.
No, and it causes humans and animals, I think, to froth at the mouth. It's a terrifying.
And you get lockjaw.
Apparently it's incredibly painful. So I did a whole story in this place in Bavaria, beautiful surrounds. But I remember opening the fridge and there's just dead everything in there. Dead cats, dead bats, dead birds. There was a box on the counter. I thought, thank God, this is a box that doesn't have... I opened it up, 3 dead birds in there. Everything was dead.
All that foreign food.
Have you got any chips?
Was it one of them labelled Ivan? Ivan's lunch, don't touch.
So, no, I've never had rabies.
No. Well, we don't have it here. That's why we're the lucky
I once
country.
did another story with Beyond 2000 where I'm crouching down beside pretty much a wet, like a seething pond in Malaysia, and I'm crouching down. And I say, this is the epicenter of dengue fever. And I've got a little voice in the back of my head saying, maybe you shouldn't be here.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your Beyond 2000 stories. I like the time you were on the beach in Rio. You got dumped in the waves.
I didn't want to go swimming in front of the crew, so I went further down
Because
the
it
beach.
involved a costume.
Yeah, a clown costume apparently. So I went further down the beach to where it was incredibly dangerous, and I got caught in a dumper. And I came out because I didn't want to go back in. I was terrified, but all the sand had made my gusset expand like I was wearing a nappy.
Yeah.
Of course, I got contacted by the beach authority because they thought there'd been too much dredging that day.
And what about the crabs? Oh, they were already there.
Oh dear.
It's Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor.
Hello.
Is that it? Have we started? Is that the beginning of this incredible podcast?
No, this is part of the cutting room floor, Brendel. I'm just, composing myself, having a bit of driveway time.
Well, I spoke today about driveway time.
Yeah.
The notion that, and I thought it was just the domain of women, where you get home in your car and you spend a bit of time in the driveway because it's the only time you get all day to yourself.
I don't know why you sort of wear this badge of the women do all the work, because men do this as well.
But if you look statistically, Brendan, and just don't go from your anecdotal evidence, statistically, women are still doing the bulk of the child rearing and are still doing the bulk of the domestic chores. So a woman has left maybe a place of work, maybe she's gone out shopping, whatever she's been doing, looking after her parents, whatever it is, and then going inside her home where there's more stuff to be done. The time in your car, in your driveway, is the only time you
When
get.
I drive down my street, I see many men just sitting out in the driveway. That's what I see.
Is that some kind of beat?
My street is not a beat. Away from that.
Away from that.
Away from you sullying the good name of my street. Have you read this story? Spanish tourist town bans sex dolls and inflatable penis costumes.
This is a Spanish town, Playa Aro. How would you say that? You're good with accents.
Playa de Aro.
Okay, something like that. It is a popular spot for bachelor and bachelorette parties, and where people, and I bet they're all these English people who fly to Spain, and they get cheap deals with flights, hotels, strippers, etc. This resort town, mostly for stag and hen do's. It sounds horrendous. But people can now be fined because the locals have kicked up a stink, as has the mayor, who's been called the Grinch of bachelorette parties. And they're fining people for dressing up as genitals. They're fining them for inappropriate clothing, all that kind of, and sex dolls, all that stuff that's associated crassly with bachelor and bachelorette parties. I'm surprised at this because I thought we'd moved on from that. I thought now you go for a girls' weekend and you paint a picture and you sip some wine, or guys go for a golfing weekend. Are people still dressing up as penises? Is that still happening and girls drink out of penis straws?
I don't see it often. It was always fun to carry around the sex doll, the inflatable sex doll.
Who would carry it? The groom. You'd make the groom
had
carry it.
to, carry the sex doll around, and then the poor
For how
thing-
long? Through the wedding?
up until the wedding. Come on, got standards. No, they take it around the town, and then it ends up invariably at a bus stop, looking a little bit worse for wear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, worse for wear because it's been dragged through every bar in the city.
Well, this new ban stops people from going out in public, quote, without clothing or only in their underwear or with clothing or accessories representing human genitals.
Yeah, right.
This is our dress code at work. Or with dolls or other accessories of a sexual nature.
Yeah.
You get quite a big fine, $2.5 grand.
$2.5
Yeah.
Are you sure that's not like pesos or something?
That's Australian dollars. This town has a population of 12,500, but it takes 300,000 tourists on a weekend during the summer. So if there's other tourists going, let's go for a nice romantic weekend, and there's someone sitting next to you dressed as a penis, I can see why you'd be annoyed.
Yeah, especially if you're married to that penis. And when you talk about, penis costumes, are we just presuming that you'd have a bosom costume? I don't think you're going to have a big, vagina costume, are you?
Well, Brendan, you go to these things more than I do. Who's going to dress up as a big vagina?
People might mistake you for Mr. Yawn.
He'd be fine. He'd be fine. That's obscene. That looks obscene.
Mr. Yawn.
Put a sash on him instead of wedding do.
Anyway,
Should we leave it there?
I think, what else can you do?
No, nothing.
It's Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's time for Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Are you ready for more?
Well, Amanda, what's on the cutting room floor today?
Are you all right? You're sounding like a gravel-voiced ogre.
No, sorry, I was just adjusting my chair.
Are you ready now?
I was mid-strain as I elude you.
Oh, I love to hear you
But
mid-strain.
let's think about the cutting room floor. It's Lucy Magoosey.
Here's a story we didn't get around to talking about today. I'm just going to read it as it is done-roted.
Okay.
Dorothy Dawson has filed for divorce after finding out that her 84-year-old husband, Barry, was not deaf, which he pretended to be for years so as not to listen to her. According to the divorce papers, Barry hasn't said a word in 10 years of marriage. To communicate with her husband, Mrs. Dawson learned sign language, and the wife says for 2 whole years she learnt that language. As soon as I started succeeding and communicating with him in sign language, she said, Barry started having vision problems and signalled to me that he didn't see well. Someone underneath has written, this man is a legend.
I'm getting a vibe that he's just not that into you.
Do you think?
I'm getting that vibe.
Isn't it funny? People are so tight with their money that he thinks rather than breaking up and, allowing her to have a life separate to this grumpy old prick, he's holding on and trying to make life easier for himself at home by withdrawing emotions. I know of a couple that broke up and both great, interesting, successful, attractive people. He was a really good dad, all that stuff. But she said he just wasn't emotionally available. And a lot of the guys are saying, oh, God, we've got to be that now as well. As all the women say, no, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. These are the things that hold a relationship together. If you're not emotionally available, you're just going through the motions.
I guess so. Marriages are, by and large, a strange sort of concept.
Well, it is. But you don't want to be in that position that these people are, where he obviously can't tolerate having a conversation with her and she makes all that effort and he's just mocking it all. And he's obviously going out and having a life somewhere else, going to the pub, whatever it is, getting out of the house so he can speak and look. How hurtful to her. He made none of that effort at home.
I often speak to couples who have divorced and I just question, I said, so what happened? Because I often think, for example, I remember years ago, this young couple that I knew, they got married, they had a 3-year-old child, and then just on the eve of the child's 4th birthday, they split up. And I thought, well, I said, why did you split up? And they just said, well, it wasn't working. And I went, and then the reasons that they cited, they weren't that bad. I was thinking,
interesting?
And then I thought, am I a very tolerant person in my own marriage? You just go along and just accept. And I think I've got a pretty happy marriage. And I often think this about Helen. I wonder if she looks at me and just goes, it's just easier to stay together.
Well, she has been deaf for 18 years. Anita and I spoke about this on the podcast.
This is Anita, your friend from Double A Chattery.
Double A Chattery. We spoke about the nature of quitting and at what point we started small. Do you quit a book? Do you quit a series you're watching? Talk about, do you quit a relationship? And her, because she's a psychologist, her advice was very interesting. She said, if you're thinking of breaking up a relationship and something is irritating you enormously today, give yourself a time frame, say 6 months. If I still have these feelings in 6 months, then maybe we move towards breaking up. But make sure you're clear-headed, that you have seen the pattern of where you are going and how it feels, that you're not making that decision in the moment. Because it makes a lot of sense to end something once you've looked at why you're actually ending it, something important like a relationship.
It's very wise.
It's good advice, isn't it?
A lot of times, and whenever we have trouble, a fight over something, it never lasts. In 6 months' time, I know that it will be okay.
Yeah.
I would say in about 2 days' time, it will be okay.
Well, once you've been in a long-term relationship, you know the nature of riding the wave. But then there are people who stay in relationships where you're riding a wave of unhappiness the whole time, and there's no point to that either.
Yeah, and the silent treatment, I can never do that. Do you do the silent treatment?
No, but because Harley can do the silent treatment. I'm the one who's constantly saying, have I upset you? Have I upset you? Have I upset you? It's exhausting rather than just letting him sit in his own stink.
You always do the boomerang apology.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're the one who articulated what I do.
Yeah.
So I say something quite rational and reasonable, and then I go home and think, I shouldn't have spoken honestly and freely, but while being rational and reasonable. So then you wait and you know I'll come back and apologise for it.
Well, I don't usually get the boomerang apology from you. It seems to work for everyone else. But my boomerang, I'm still waiting for it to come back.
For yours was just a stick.
My boomerang won't come back on that. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Well, take that to the bank.
It's Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor.
Rightio, cutting room floor time. No time for mucking around. Sounded a bit like Sid Halen then.
Have we started? Is this you talking or is this you just warming up?
Or do you want me to keep doing voices, impressions of Sid?
Voices, impressions. I'd like you to speak English. So I'm guessing we've started.
You know, come on.
All right. Will I start this story now?
I think I need to take a day.
Do you? A mental health day?
I think I do.
Is a day enough?
Anyway.
Let's talk about this US couple have discovered something underneath their jacuzzi. They live on Lake Huron in Michigan. It's a body of water that separates US from the Canada. From the Canada. So they were digging out their jacuzzi. They were renovating. They bought this house in 2020 and they found sort of a weird outlet underneath the jacuzzi.
A lot of hair, I'd imagine.
A lot of hair. The Wookiee was living there. They found underneath a water-filled room when the jacuzzi broke, and they connected this then. This, they discovered, was connected to a huge body of water by a 6-foot pipe. And when I say body of water, they scuba dived to discover where it went. So this jacuzzi, underneath the jacuzzi, was a big tank, like a giant chamber with water in it. They scuba dived in the river and found the other end of it, which was a part of a huge tunnel system.
Right.
So they said what they think is that this was used for prohibition.
The smuggling of the liquor.
Yep, the prohibition era. So this is a 6-metre deep bootlegger's tunnel beneath their house that was used for smuggling alcohol.
I wonder, getting the booze into the house or out of the house?
Probably both. Apparently a century ago, this area, Lake Huron and the adjoining St. Clair River, were critical waterways with boaters and crime syndicates to bring in bootleg alcohol from north of the border.
Amazing.
This area was responsible for 75% of prohibition activity, according to experts. And they said that many of their neighbours apparently have the same thing, have these big water chambers and tunnel systems under their home. But how brave are you to say, there's a water system, I'm going to put on scuba gear and swim through it? Oh,
The fact they even had scuba gear.
Oh, I assume they rented it. It wasn't just, hey,
you
let's
just
go
don't go down to Bunnings and rent the scuba gear.
Yes, you go to a scuba place
well,
and
you're
rent
going to have
scuba
your
gear.
dive master's ticket.
Oh, okay. Presumably they did.
Well, don't be frustrated.
Presumably they did.
What are the chances?
Well, they live on a lake. Maybe they're those kind of people.
Lake people.
Lake people.
People that live on the water, they're all weird.
Have you ever found anything interesting when you're renovating?
It's funny you mentioned that. One time
You found a dive ticket?
when I was living in Brisbane, we got a house in Balmoral, nice little suburb in Brisbane. And as I was moving, the landlord, he was just showing me around the place, and we're moving out a cupboard, and on the back of a cupboard in red, drawn with finger paint, was a pentagram. And I went,
oh, like the devil's sign.
yeah, I went, gee, what's with that? And is that blood? It wasn't blood, it was red paint, but it looked like blood, and they'd written a pentagram. And I said, geez, what were your last tenants into? I said that to the landlord, and he goes, yeah, they were weirdos. I remember I came around one night, and there was all these candles burning. And if you stand up here, there was a sunken lounge room. So if you stand out here, you can barely see it now, but there's an outline, a chalk outline of that similar thing that, and he didn't know what it's called. I said, pentagram. He goes, yeah, same as that.
I wouldn't have moved in.
Same as
I
that.
would not have moved in.
Well-
Did you go ahead and move in?
Well, you know, the thing was, my wife and my son were living in Sydney, and I'd taken the job up in Brisbane, and they were going to eventually come and join me. So
why wouldn't you bring a child into that?
I've signed the lease on this giant, all that sort of stuff, and it was a nice place. Rent was cheap, and all of a sudden this.
So were you thinking, I won't tell my wife?
I wasn't going to say it to anyone. So I went to work that night. I was doing late night radio at B105 in Brisbane, and there was this lady that did the midnight to dawn shift after me, and I was just sort of sitting there doing the songs, and she said, have you found a place to live yet? And I said, yeah, this beautiful place in Balmoral, and we're just talking about it. And I said, I told her about the pentagram. Anyway, she's a rabid Christian, And she said, you cannot move into that house. That house is bad. And went on this whole thing. And like throughout the rest of she sat through my whole show just constantly telling me not to move my family into the house.
I'm with her.
So that night when I'm heading home from work at about 2 a.m, I thought the last place I want to go into is that house. So anyway, I kind of spooked myself. And my mate, Dave, I told him about it and he started over-egging the pudding. And his wife, she said, well, why don't you get like a priest to come and bless the house? Just why don't you do that? And I went, because I'm a Catholic. And I went, oh, okay, sure, So each time I wanted someone to say, oh, you're crazy. No one said I was crazy.
Right. Everyone said, you need to do something about
maybe
this.
Maybe you should do something about it. And I went, oh, great, okay, I've signed the lease.
You could have waved some sage around or something.
Well, I didn't even know about sage back then. So I go to the local church and I meet with...
You went to the local church.
Yep.
What trouble are you going to be in? Because then they'll expect to see you there every week.
Well, exactly. So I meet with...
that's fraud. That's even worse than living in a devil house.
I met with the local priest, Father Terry, and I thought he would say, you're crazy. Don't worry about it. He sat me down in his office and he said, so have you seen any strange phenomenon? And I went, well, no, not really, but I do. He says, do you feel uncomfortable in the house? And I went, yeah, I do. Actually, I do. I do feel uncomfortable. But I'm thinking, is it part of my mind or not?
Of course it is.
Also, there's all possums and stuff running. It was it was in a bushland sort of setting. So there's a lot of things that kept you up at night. And also, I'm by myself working late at night. So anyway, he says, I'll come past and I'll bless the house. I'm, oh, sweet. And I'm sort of good.
Tick, done.
So he came round to the house and he brought his robe and his Bible and some holy water. It's like a full-on scene from The Exorcist. We go into the house and we're walking along and he just starts, and then he starts quoting Latin. And I'm going, oh, geez, okay. So I'm just going along with this. I don't even speak Latin. And then...
Mate, I don't even speak Latin.
As we're walking through the house.
Like status quo, though.
As we're walking through the house, I said, say, Father, are you getting any vibe? And he said, I felt incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh, no, it's getting worse and worse.
And I went, well, that's going to be my son's front room.
Oh, no.
Well, I thought, better put the kid in the room than me. So
yes, there are monsters under the bed.
He could go into there.
At least you can tell him they're fake.
It's got cold running monsters, mate. Forget a trampoline, you got a monster in your room. Anyway, we go downstairs and there was, and I thought it was a great workbench. And Father Terry looks at me and says, that's an altar. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, that is a church altar. So you can see here's where the sacristy used to be and all that. And I went, and he said, who were the people that lived here? And I said,
were they just students mucking up or something?
I don't know. I don't know who they were. And so anyway,
Charles Manson.
So he did the blessing in there, but at that point he said, anyway, I've got to go. And then he just ran off. Like, not run, but he was quite up for the chat before that. But as soon as you saw the altar, gone.
So
and then
did he insist you go to church every week?
I never went back to the church. I gave him $50 as a donation. I went, thanks, Father, there's something for the church. And then after that, nothing. I didn't feel uncomfortable anymore.
So that worked for you because it's a head game, and if it can work for you, that's great. Yep. That would have wound me up even further.
Yeah.
That would have upset me even more.
Yeah.
The fact that no one said this is a joke and that he took it so seriously, that would have, I couldn't have stayed there. And did you tell Helen this at the time?
No. Are you joking? No, I kept that. There was one point where my son's head started spinning around in the bedroom. Yeah. And I said...
He's been a head turner ever since.
I said, honey, it's got hot and cold running monsters.
How long did you stay there?
8 months.
You miss Amityville, don't you?
He used to live next door to me, Carl Sandilands. He used to live
did he?
About 3 houses down.
See, the devil went to the wrong house.
kept well away from that. Anyway.
Well, you freaked me out now.
Yeah, we're going bless his house.
Yeah, Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room floor, yeah.
What's on the cutting room floor?
Well, let's talk about poo today, fossilised poo. They are prehistoric time capsules and a pooseum has been opened. A world-breaking one, Brendan. You and I are world breakers. We hold a Guinness World Record. Why don't you tell the people about that?
I know at 8 o'clock every morning that you go for try and set a new record.
Well, we own the world record, well, we did for about a week, for the world's longest underwater broadcast.
True that.
We did it at the Sydney Aquarium, surrounded by lemon sharks. Mm-hmm.
And a grey nurse?
And a grey nurse. She was there just in case we needed our pulse taken. But this is a world record. This guy's name is George Franson. He holds the Guinness World Record for the largest collection of fossilised feces. And so he has opened up his museum. Rather than saying fossilised feces, they're called coprolite.
Coprolite.
Don't ever buy me jewellery made from coprolite. So this man has the world's largest prehistoric poo specimens. He's got dinosaur poos.
Yeah.
He's got over 8,000 fossils, including that of the dinosaurs in a renowned 27-inch sample of carnivore coprolite called Barnum. Imagine having a giant poo named after you. And he said initially many people react with a yuck face or laughter when they first hear of the Pooseum, but people leave this one-of-a-kind experience fascinated.
And what do we learn about it?
Well, we learn about if it's, say, a dinosaur poo, we learn about their diet.
Yep.
We learn about what microbes might have been present in their gut. So their gut health, their diet, their gut health and their diet. Did I mention gut health and also diet?
Okay.
You know one poo I'm fascinated by?
Yes.
It's a human poo.
Of course you are.
This is a fossilised Viking poo. It's the world's most valuable excrement. It's 1,200 years old. As I say here, a 1,200-year-old bowel movement. It is at the Viking Centre in York in England. And what's fascinating about it is it's from the 9th century AD.
Yep.
Its scientific value puts it at $39,000. But it's massive.
How big?
Well, it's not written here, but have a look how massive you think that might be.
Oh, that's massive. It's
Massive.
bigger than it's next to a Guinness World Record plaque.
Is that actual size?
And it's bigger than the plaque.
Is that actual size?
Oh, my God. What Vikings, what do they eat?
Well, that's what they're using this to find out. What I find extraordinary is that Viking went to a private place to have a private moment.
Yeah.
And if someone had said, hey, you're going to be immortalised, he would have thought, for my daring do, for my great works, for my luscious hair. No, mate, we're saving the poo.
His wife was at the door. Olaf, where are you? The Huns are coming.
And he's saying, give it 20.
There was that
Give
story.
the woods 20.
There was that story, and you like to bring this up.
It's just about the Queen.
Yes, the Estepol poo.
I've heard this from someone very high up in the Navy, and it may be an urban myth
Yeah. But go on.
that it's a dreadful tale.
Come on.
That a net would be, not a person called Annette, a net would be put across the loo if she had to go to the toilet on one of these big ships
Where would the net on the...
under the S-bend to catch the fall.
So on there, so it was a direct pump out into the sea?
Is that what boats do?
Well, in the old days, they had boats, these days modern boats have holding tanks and the like, but maybe in the old days it just went straight, the waste
And it would
went
be
straight
captured.
out to sea.
It would be captured.
Yep, so they
Estepoled, put above the bar. I don't know
hang
if
on.
it's so awful. I'm trying to
So
write over
you're
the
saying-
details.
You're saying that someone, able seaman old mate, bent over with a net, and as the Queen dropped a log, flushed it, it goes out.
All
from
I
the side
know,
of the
it was
boat.
captured. I don't know how the workings. I don't know how
Okay.
the plumbing works on a big ship.
I'm just putting pieces together here. They
A hunt for Red October. But I don't like to talk about it because I actually don't think that the sailors in the British Navy would be disrespectful enough to do it. I think they idolise the Queen.
Of course. So,
Prince Philip might be another story.
but you have been purporting this story for as long as I've known you.
Someone who was high up in the merchant navy told me that.
Who was that?
I'm not going to tell you my sources.
Right, okay. It wasn't Captain Birdseye, was it? Was it an
No, it
actual?
wasn't Captain Birdseye. It was Captain Snooze.
Yeah,
No,
right.
it was a real person.
So it was an official naval officer,
Mm.
not a merchandise, not a,
Not Mr. Old Mate down the shops.
yeah, so it wasn't like a corporate
I don't like talking about it.
advertising icon.
There was a time when I found that story funny, and as I get older, I just think I don't like it anymore.
Okay, well, maybe you should drop it from your repertoire.
Well, you forced me to tell you. And that Viking saying, hey, mate, can you drop mine as well? Drop my story?
And that's why it's on the cutting room floor.
That's history.
Everybody, that's it for today. Come back tomorrow for some more of Jonesy and Amanda's cutting room.